If you visit Cardiff, the chances are you've walked by this statue in the Hayes area of the city. It's of local politician and businessman John Batchelor. He was, so we are told, the friend of freedom. He's a regular perch for birds seeking a rest, and every now and then someone puts a can of beer or a traffic cone in that outstretched hand. So while the statue may be familiar, I suspect that the story behind it is not. It's a tale in which Batchelor became the enemy of an immensely powerful man. And while many loved Batchelor, there were those who hated him. And although there was plenty of animosity during his lifetime, after his death it got even worse. Someone suggested that the planned inscription of Friend of Freedom should be changed to Batchelor having brought disgrace to the city. A letter published in a newspaper called him a vile impostor. Things got so heated that an editor of the Western Mail newspaper was assaulted in the street. And then there was a sensational libel case which went on to change the law of the land. And it stands to this day. But first, who was John Batchelor? He was born in Newport in 1820 and as a young man was a supporter of the Chartists, a working class movement that sought political reform. He worked in shipyards in northeast England and Canada, and then came to Cardiff to set up a timber and shipbuilding business. He was a Liberal councillor in the city, became Lord Mayor in 1853, and held various public roles such as chairman of the Cardiff School Board. He gained a reputation as a social reformer. He is also credited with being a driving force behind the development of Cardiff's sewerage and drinking water systems. These are measures to suppress cholera, a disease which was killing many people at the time. Politics and business gained him friends and opponents. Chief among those was John Crichton Stuart, the Scots-born 3rd Marquess of Bute. He was very rich and very powerful. He was the man who built much of Cardiff docks and spent some of his wealth on building Cardiff Castle and Lascelles-Carr, as we see them today. Bute was a Tory and his money made him very influential. Batchelor had helped a Liberal to unseat a long-serving Tory as the city's Member of Parliament. That would have greatly displeased Bute. Batchelor also had a leading role in the development of Penarth Docks, which was to break the local coal export monopoly of Bute's Cardiff Docks, so the pair were political and business opponents. In 1869, the Marquess founded the Western Mail newspaper. He did it, it seems, to promote his own views about politics, people, and the world. Here, for example, is a report with some anti-Batchelor content. Headed Mr. John Batchelor again, it began, "Few people will read the report of the proceedings of the Cardiff School Board on Thursday without experiencing a feeling of disgust at the conduct of the chairman." And so it went on. It was quite a hatchet job. Fortunately for Batchelor, there were, at that time, quite a few other newspapers available locally, and some of them were more sympathetic to him and the Liberals. Eventually, though, Batchelor got into business difficulties, blamed by his supporters on Bute and his agents. It seems that at that time, the Marquess ran much of Cardiff as his personal fiefdom. After the River Taff was diverted away from St Mary's Street, where Batchelor had his shipyard and timber business, he needed a place in Cardiff's West Dock to be able to carry on. Bute gave him a short-term tenancy, but soon after he refused to renew it. This was a disaster. Batchelor was in a very tough spot. Then his businesses failed and were liquidated to pay off some of his substantial debts. Well-wishers raised the sum of £3,700, later topped up to £5,000, to help him when he fell on hard times. It's tempting to see this saga as a good man fighting against power and the establishment, and maybe that's all it was, or perhaps it was a bit more complicated. The Marquis was a remarkable man who made big things happen. He was very important to the economy of Cardiff. He created many jobs, and a lot of people depended on him. And as for his personality, well, he was an aristocrat who was very unstuffy, apparently, and there were people who liked him. So, at the very least, this was a dispute between two businessmen with conflicting political ideas. John Batchelor had married twice. His first wife, Hannah, died young, leaving him with 2 children. His second wife, Fanny, gave birth to 10 children. Batchelor died in 1883 at the age of 63. His funeral cortege was followed by thousands. He had been very popular. Even the Western Mail acknowledged that he had been a capable and sagacious leader. Liberal Party supporters and many others thought that Batchelor deserved a statue. There were many tributes paid to him in local newspapers. Political opponents and perhaps creditors who had lost money to Batchelor's failed companies tried to stop the statue plan. But £1,000 was raised from admirers, and the sculptor James Milo Griffith was commissioned to create it. Batchelor's supporters decided "Friend of Freedom" was an accurate and succinct epitaph. Others disagreed. One day, a man delivered a letter to the Western Mail office in Cardiff. It was given to Mr. Henry Lascelles-Carr, who was at that time chief sub-editor. The anonymous writer of the letter, who had used the nom de plume censor, suggested an alternative inscription. It was a scurrilous attack on Batchelor, and Henry Lascelles-Carr decided to publish it. It was to cause a lot of trouble. The suggested alternative epitaph was long and very insulting. Here it is. The gist is that Batchelor set class against class, was a traitor to the crown and a hater of the clergy. He died with debts of £50,000, had wasted his life, and was a disgrace to Cardiff. Batchelor supporters were appalled. His 2 sons, Cyril and Llewellyn, were furiously angry, so much so that they lay in wait for Lascelles-Carr as he got off his train from Penarth on his way to work. They assaulted him, setting about him with a bullwhip or a dog whip, according to which report you read. The South Wales Echo seems to have enjoyed this punch-up. It reported the assault almost literally blow by blow and called the assault an exciting scene. Then the Batchelor brothers decided to pursue a case of criminal libel against the author of the letter, Censor, who was alleged to be prominent local solicitor Thomas Ensor. Mr. Ensor, who was evidently not that good at choosing a false identity, was a creditor when Batchelor's businesses were being wound up. Mr. Lascelles-Carr, as the Western Mail publisher, was also accused of libel. The case came to the police court, as it was called at the time. The lawyer for Mr. Lascelles-Carr argued that the words used did not constitute libel. Mr. Ensor defended himself and denied involvement. So Mr. Ensor denied being Mr. Censor. However, much later he admitted that he had written some of the offending words. The case was sent for trial by jury, and much evidence was heard. The judge said that had Batchelor been alive, he would indeed have been libelled, but he added that the dead cannot be libelled. He said, "The dead have no rights and cannot be wronged." And that is a ruling which stands to this day. After the court case, Lascelles-Carr doubled down. He said that had Batchelor not been dead, he would have been cross-examined and his reputation would have been ruined. He added, "I know some of the late Mr. John Batchelor's creditors. As they pass the statue that has been erected to his memory, they curse him as the man through whom they and their families have been impoverished." He also questioned what had happened to the money raised for Batchelor when he had so many debts. As for the statue, it was decided to unveil it in October 1886 outside the Cardiff Free Library that Batchelor had campaigned for over many years. Just before the event, the Western Mail published another anonymous letter, this one calling it "The Unveiling of the Hideous and Offensive Erection in the Haze." The unveiling went ahead. The statue was subsequently vandalized, though. It was defaced with paint several times. Soon after, there was a petition of 1,200 signatures wanting the statue to be removed from the haze. These people were called a few bilious Tories in another newspaper. The Marquis of Bute died at the age of 53 in 1900 and got his own very grand statue in Cardiff's Cathays Park. He had sold the Western Mail in 1877 to Mr. Lascelles-Carr, and he went on to become one of the owners of the famous, or perhaps infamous, News of the World Sunday newspaper. He died in France in 1902 at the age of 63, and Censor, aka Mr. Ensor, had died in 1895. And so that's the John Batchelor story. His supporters got their statue with the chosen inscription, and they placed it exactly where they wanted it to be. John Batchelor was a social reformer who made his mark on Cardiff, and yet he was a man not much missed by his political and business enemies.